So in our last lesson, we learned about how to do long division. And today we're going to learn, or in this lesson, we're going to learn how to use synthetic division, which is a little bit, well, it's a lot quicker. And so it's probably the method of choice in the long run here. Okay. So going to, in your notes in 2.2, the factor theorem synthetic division, we're going to talk about synthetic division. So here we will examine a second form of polynomial division called synthetic division. Don't be fooled. This is not fake division. In synthetic division, we concern ourselves with the coefficients of the dividend and the zero of the linear divisor. So what we mean by the zero of the linear divisor, if we're dividing by x plus 1, we'd say the zero is negative 1, because if we were to plug negative 1 in for x there, we'd get 0. So it's the zero of the linear divisor. Synthetic division uses numbers along with the algorithm. Step 1, we bring down. Step 2, we multiply. Step 3, we add. And after step 3, we return to step 2. And then we go to 3, and then to 2, and then to 3. And we just keep going until we finish the problem. Note, synthetic division only works with linear divisors. This will not work when we go beyond that. So when people divide by a quadratic value, we'll actually use long division again. All right, I want you to copy this into your notes. You don't need to write example page 98. There's a showing there. I do this a little bit different than the textbook says. But key idea here is that you have this L shape right here. Right here. We need that L shape right there. Okay, so that's the setup in there. Right in here we have the coefficient of the dividend. Right in here we have the zero of the divisor. And right in here, numbers arising from multiplication goes right in here. This is going to be the result right here, the coefficients of the quotient, and this will be our remainder. Okay, so take a moment, pause the video, and copy that chart down. All right, so now we're going to look at a couple examples. Okay, so here's how it goes. Okay, so first thing we need to do is we set up our chart. So we draw that L shape right here. Okay, and what happens is we put, so notice this is x cubed right here. That's our highest power. So we're going to make this our x cubed column. This is going to be our x squared. This is going to be our x, and this is going to be our number. You don't need to write that down when you're going beyond your notes, but this is just for your notes' sake. So the x cubed value is 4. The coefficient of the x squared is negative 5. Coefficient of the x is 2. And then we have the number, which is negative 1. The zero of x minus 2, so the 0 would be, we want to know, well, when would x minus 2 equal 0? Well, that would be when x equals 2, when we bring it to the other side and we add 2. So the 0 of the divisor is 2. What we're going to do in this algorithm is we're going to add down, and then we're going to multiply in order for it to rise to the top there. Okay, so we add down right here, and we got a 4. We're going to take this 4 right here, and we're going to multiply it by this 2 right there. Okay, so 2 times 4 is 8. Okay, now we simply add these two values. So negative 5 plus 8 is 3. How do we bring the 3 to the top? Well, we're going to multiply it by the 2 again. So 2 times 3 is 6. 2 plus 6 is 8. And then, again, how do we bring 8 to the top? Well, we multiply it by this 2 again. So 2 times 8 is 16, which gives us positive 15 when we add it down. Now, to know how to use synthetic division is to try and understand what arose out of this. So what happens here is we have the coefficients for 1 less than what was above. So this was x cubed, and now we have x squared below. This was the x, this was the number, and what results right here is the remainder. Okay? So what we have, if we were to write this in checking your product form, is we started with 4x cubed minus 5x squared plus 2x minus 1. and we divided it by x minus 2. So this was what we divided it by. What we got was this. As a result, we got 4x squared plus 3x plus 8. 4x squared plus 3x plus 8. And our remainder was 15, so we have plus 15 on the outside. And there we go. That is it factored, a lot quicker than doing with long division. All right, we're going to do it again. This time we're going to divide by x plus 1, and you can see the coefficients up here. So again, we start with that L shape. Okay, and I want you to notice this is supposed to be our x4, x3, x2, x to the power of 1, and then the last thing is the number. I'm going to have to extend this chart a little bit. Now notice we have a 4x to the power of 4. We have a 3, oh, we don't have an x cubed, so we make that 0. This is 3, this is negative 2, and this is 1. So notice I don't skip a value. I make sure to include all the x to the power of n and decrease it by 1 each time. And if there's a 0 in there, we add in a 0. The 0 of the divisor would be negative 1. Because if we plugged in negative 1 here plus 1, we would get 0. That's the 0 of the divisor. All right. So remember that what we do is we add down, multiply to go up. Okay? So we get a 4. In order for this to rise to the top, we need to multiply it by negative 1. 4 times negative 1 is negative 4. 0 plus negative 4 is negative 4. In order to get this to rise to the top, we do negative 1. Again, this negative 1 times negative 4, which gives us 4. Add down, we get 7. Multiply to get up, you get negative 7. We got negative 9 when we add down. Multiply by negative 1 to get it to the top again, we got 9. And at the bottom, we get 10 when we add that up. I'm just going to flex a little bit here. We're going to state this in 2 different forms just to show how good we are at this. So the check the product form would be 4x to the power of 4 plus 3x squared minus 2x plus 1. What we got was we divided by x plus 1, and that gave us this right here. Now remember those are the coefficients of 1 less than what we see up top. So this represents, this right here is x cubed, x squared. This is my x. This is just my number. This is my remainder right there. So we have, pardon me for a second while I change my pen. So this is 4x cubed minus 4x squared plus 7x minus 9. We had a remainder of 10, so we add 10 at the end. That's a check the product form. If we want to do the other form, we looked at that over here. Oh, where is that? Right here, if we want to state this form, which is actually the way the question was stated. It was the dividend over the divisor. What we get is the quotient, and then plus the remainder over the divisor. So to state it in that form, the way that it was actually shown, we would have 4x4 plus 3x squared minus 2x plus 1 over x plus 1. What we got as a result was 4x cubed minus 4x squared plus 7x minus 9, plus we had a remainder, and that remainder was 10, and we keep the divisor right there, x plus 1. All right, keep going. This one adds in a little trick here, okay? So follow closely again. So here, do our L shape again. The coefficients here, so we have 2, we have 7, we have 11, and we have 4. Notice we have our x cubed, x squared, x, and then just the number. Okay, and then over here, the 0 of the divisor, this one gets a little bit more interesting. So 2x plus 1, when does that equal 0? That happens when 2x equals negative 1, or when x equals negative half. Okay, so this number here is negative 1/2. That's a little interesting. Here we go. We're going to add down. We're going to multiply to get it up to the top there. So we got 2 multiplied by negative half, you get negative 1. Add down, you get 6. Sorry. Multiply to bring it to the top again, that's negative 3. Add to bring it down. Multiply to bring it to the top again. We get negative 4. And we get a remainder of 0. That's kind of cool because that tells us actually that it is a factor because there is no remainder. Let's state the product form again. So it's 2x cubed plus 7x squared plus 11x plus 4. We divide it by 2x plus 1. What we're left with, remember this is 1 less, so this was x cubed, which means now we have x squared here. So that's 2x squared plus 6x plus 8. And we could say the remainder is 0, but we don't need to. So it doesn't even exist, the remainder. It's a beautiful 0. Okay, so something to note from what we saw. Number 1, if there's a missing x value, you're going to make sure you add it in. There should be no missing x values. Number 2, if the question gets stated out of order, let's look at one right here. Notice here the highest power is x to the power 4, and then 3, and then here's 2, and then here's 1, and then here's the number. So when you state this in that form, don't start with this 3 right here as the starting point. Okay, start with, let's see if I can get this. This was the highest power, so we're going to start with a negative 1 as that, and then we'll keep filling this chart in from there. Okay, you have a few questions to do. There's 1, 2, and 3 questions right here. And then I want you to try to redo some of page 91, number 3, using synthetic division. So you can test that. You can do it with long division, synthetic division. Oh my, I made a mistake. Good thing I kept talking there. So I actually have a mistake here. Sorry, I was trying to rush. Notice that if I were to expand this, I'd get 4x cubed. And that is not what we started with. So here's where things get a little messy. When I divided by, I thought I was dividing by 2x plus 1, but I'm not actually. I'm dividing by x plus a half. So I'm going to edit this in here. So this was actually x plus a half that we were dividing by, because the way we stated it, it wasn't this form, it was in a different form. Okay, this is part of the trick in here. So, because it was synthetic, it wasn't real, it's kind of a fake. So what's going to happen in this answer here is that we were asked to divide by 2x plus 1, but synthetic division won't let you have, sorry about all the moving, won't let you have a number out in front. So what we're going to do is we're going to trick it to have the answer we wanted. So I want this x to have a 2. So I'm going to multiply this right here by 2. But that's not fair to do because I would change the answer. But if I divided this by 2, okay, we'd be okay. We'd have the same answer. So if I multiply this by 2 here, we'd get 2x plus 1. And if I divide this by 2, right here, each of those coefficients, I'd have x squared plus 3x plus 4. And if you were to expand this, 2x times x squared, you'll get back this 2x cubed that we actually were looking for. So there's a bit of a mess in this, okay? So you're going to notice here it doesn't matter because there's no coefficient of x. Here it doesn't matter, no coefficient to the x, but here it does. And the 0 of this divisor will be 2/3. So you're going to go, boom, 2/3. Now all of your answers are going to be wrong over here because it's synthetic, it's not real. So much like here, where all your answers were off because of the coefficient, which was the 2, and we had to times it by 2 and divide by 2, what's going to happen down here, because the coefficient isn't 2, it's actually a 3, we're going to divide the 1 by 3, and then we're going to multiply the other one by 3, and then we'll get the right answer. And that's why it's a good practice to check your answers to make sure they're right. All right, I hope that helped out.